Welcome back to Tour Truck Tuesday. The Kingdom is looking as beautiful as ever. There's good reason that I've got the camera out before I've even got to the tee today, because this one coming in is gonna be an absolute ripper. It's Milled Grind 4 wedges. It's an amazing product. I cannot wait to take you through this video. If you're new, be sure to hit subscribe, put the bell on for all notifications. I put one video up once a week every Tour Truck Tuesday. Let's get into it. So here it is, the Milled Grind 4. Already played on tour by Rory McIlroy. I've got my 52, 56 and 60. They're the lofts that I play in my previous Milled Grind 3 wedges. I don't see a reason to change. I have already taken the sticker. When you go and buy these, there'll be a sticker on the face. I've already peeled mine off. So you will have to do that if you test or buy these. But it's going to reveal the first thing that is just an absolute game changer. They're calling it spin treads here at TaylorMade. But I want you to, and there's a reason I'm close, I want you to really try and focus on that groove and see if you can see it. There are laser etching. You can hear it. You can hear my finger rubbing against that. There's a laser etch set at 45 degrees to the leading edge. I'll come back to why that's important later. But what that gives you is a burr off the laser. Anytime you have a burr, that's going to be slightly abrasive. That's what you can hear when I rub my finger against the microphone. That is what's going to give you the absolute rip, the munch, the spin that these wedges are creating. But also, it gives you something else. It clears any dew or water in the mornings when you play. Inherently, when you're out here on the grass in the rough, the water on the face is what takes spin off. So by having this on here, the spin treads that you can hear, satisfying sound, by having that on there, it clears any of the water as best as it can, it disperses it, and it gives you less of a drop in spin. But trust me, in the dry, this thing is an absolute munch machine. Then if we look at the player's view, you know that I push you guys to look at it from this angle, okay? Coming down from the top. You'll notice in here, and this one is the 56, you're looking for shape changes in the flow, how the club flows from there into the back of the hosel. Then also the leading edge has got more belly, okay? So in this area here, it bulges out more. What the hell does that mean, Trotty? What you're talking about? It means when you set up to it and you open the blade that you're not gonna have a leading edge that is so sharp, that it's so tricky for you to hit shots with, because when you open it up, it's gonna be a bit more user friendly. So let's hit some. So tour inspired shaping. You can see that when you put it behind the golf ball, it looks absolutely mint. It's gonna have the raw face on it. It's got those milled grind soles. So when you dive around different lies, we're gonna talk about that as well. The milled grind sole in the high bounce options for anywhere that's super soft, or you want that bounce to help your club out of the turf, that's where you've got to look to go. The standard bounce, and we do a standard bounce C, Greg Cesario designed these, so on the 60 it has this nice C grind, which we're calling standard bounce Cesario. So when you open the blade, now the club is going to sit down on you. So if I take that 60 and I've got the C here and open it, now the belly of the leading edge is where I want it to be, but also it's getting down into the turf. And then there's low bounce options for where it gets nice and firm. But always with wedges, and literally, as you can see, I haven't hit a shot today, but with wedges, you really want to start and just see if you can just get the responsive spin and the nip that we're talking about. This is a 70-yard shot, so for me, this might be a nice little 50%, 56, just to that flag there, off this tight turf. Nice flight, might have gone a little too far, but I'm getting the feel off the belly of the wedge. I'm getting the feel, and that comes from the back. If I put my finger and thumb together there, that section where the finger is has got more mass, and that is why right here there's a bit more mass behind the ball. That is why I am loving this wedge, because the feel, oh, that is the one thing I've noticed about this. Look, we're off a fairly tight lie. That was a good speed, good rhythm to that. 9,756 on the spin for a 72-yard golf shot. That's pretty good. But it's the crisp strike that you get from the milled grind sole. That's why I've come here. This is a tight turf. You know it's a bit sandy because of all the divots. But again, let's just watch, see that one hits the hill there, and you might see the spin just carried it. But the spin and the zip you get, I mentioned 45 degrees on those spin treads. That's based on the attack angle at which we come down into these golf shots. Again, 9,917 on a shot here that only carried 81. I put a bit more speed into that. But as you come down into this with the wedge, the reason for the spin treads being at that angle is because as you create the attack angle that inherently is down on a wedge like this, sometimes with a path that pulls left, all that's happening naturally for you, the angle of the spin treads is set up for those numbers. So it's going to give you, like that first one you saw, a decent amount of zip. And as you play more and more of them, that one just zipping back again, and even that was a little bit underneath. You can tell the divot was a bit steeper, but it's still giving me 9,300 on the spin rate on only a shot that's carried 70 yards. It's into breeze, yeah, there's a bit of a hill, but I started these yesterday and there's still that much zip. That's what's blown me away the most. Now back to this sole. I've got a 60 here that I probably wouldn't use for this golf shot, but this one is the standard bounce C grind, the Cesario grind. A C grind in this means I've got all this heel relief here. So again, I go back to the belly and the leading edge. When you open this up, inherently the 60 goes a bit lower. Now the relief means I can get the leading edge lower, but also I've not got this straight leading edge that's causing me to panic. It's all things that have been thought of. When it comes to bounce, again, I'm off the tight turf here. I don't want any more than standard. But if this was softer, you'd experiment with the high bounce, because the bounce is going to be your friend. It's the camber on the sole. It's how this sole is shaped. It's degrees. It's the high point to the leading edge. So when you've got high bounce and you come down through this, it's going to give back. I've mentioned it before on this channel. Think about if you've got soccer ball, a beach ball, and you're pushing it down into a barrel of water. It wants to give back. And bounce, if used correctly, is the same thing. So when you get on lush, wet conditions, high bounce can help you. If you're someone who perhaps is steep on it, the high bounce will come out of the turf for you. Low bounce, on the other hand, hard, firm conditions. Maybe this tight lie here, low bounce would benefit me. Someone who's more of a picker, low bounce. Let's see if we can just pick one in there and give you an example where I don't need the bounce. So for this one, start the downswing with the body, the left arm, and just try and draw one. Get a little closer to it. And just draw one in there. See if that gets down, hits the slope, it catches the back edge. Goes a little further because you're drawing it. We'll have another go at that. I'm not saying you want to draw your wedges by any means, but if you do want to get just a bit shallower, there's quite a good example. Less strike, flies further, spins, stops more in its tracks, versus if I go for aiming a little bit further left, handle a bit lower, and then that pull left with the swing. Again, these are just tips more for your wedge shots. Pull left and a bit steeper for a bit more spin. It's quite nice there. We might not see it because it's a hair short. Hop, zip, moves right. And look at the strike. I've used the bounce more there as it's gone deeper. That's why I like to come and test. 9,756 on the spin. It carried 59. I said it went a bit shorter. I have to be a bit more precise on that strike because I'm coming down into it. I'm using more of the leading edge. So I've got to be a bit more precise on it, but it's going to give me more zip. And you saw it there in that golf shot. So if you've got a tight flag, perhaps next time, lower the handle a bit, pull a bit more left on the golf shot and you'll get it. Or if you want more neutral, higher and more drawy, and that will use more the middle of the bounce, the middle of the sole. I press you to try it out. There's a reason Greg Cesario worked on all these bounces, and it's so that you, the player, can leverage them in different spots. Test your wedges here first on a half shot like this. Work shapes, work flights. Then you should try them out on some other lies and look at them. Okay, so that covers the 70-yard shot. But what about this, where it's a bit tight? you need to hit a decent chip shot. Let's see how this puppy performs in this stuff. All right, so it's not everyone's favorite golf shot, we know that. It's fairly tight, but it's wet. So here you can use this bounce. But one of the things I want to talk about now when it comes to Milled Grind 4 is this section here. And you might be thinking, what are you on about, this section here? Don't hit it with the back of the wedge. I mean, what are you doing? But of course, this is now thicker. So between finger and thumb, this back part here is thicker than it's ever been before. What does that give you, the player? Gives you a bit of feel is what it gives you. So you've got this shot here, you want to keep turning on it, but as you just get used to the feel of the wedge and the sound of the wedge and the strike of the wedge, just start to think about that feel, because that's what's blown me away. You might have to play, and we'll have to ignore the target here, but you might have to play a slightly firmer golf shot to feel it, depending on where your game is at. But it's the click sound, it's the feel sound. Get a bit shallower, get a bit wider. There you go. That was a great example. You can hear that strike. Bounce has come out perfectly with the Milled Grind sole. I've hit that one right here. First one I probably had a little bit too much shaft lean, so presenting too much bounce. You change that when it comes to these lies by where you position it. But you can tell by the sound there's a difference. And it's not all now locked in here. The feel is directly behind the golf ball, where you want it to be. Even if we play a high one, again, now that leading edge is different. It's not sitting up. And you can just get under it like that. And then the last place in the juicy stuff around the drain here. So there's a lot of water that's gathered. This is lush. If you want to play one where you really open the blade, hands now level, and just feel it. Nice and soft out of there. You could tell that it took it through, it went through with the camber on the sole. Sit it down a bit more. Might have to get a bit steeper on this one. So gonna come down on it a bit more pull left, like I said on that wedge shot. Boom, boom. Two pretty great results. I'll show you the lie first. Let's take a look at that. So you can see how it cut nicely through here, just steep, and then there's the result. That one just got nestled nice and close. First one just out to the right. So that's Milled Grind 4, my first initial testing with this absolute beauty of a club. I have enjoyed TaylorMade wedges in the past, but this one, I gotta be honest, is by far the best. It's gonna crush on tour without a doubt. It's gonna crush with you guys when you test it without a doubt. If you're interested, I'll bang a link in the description below so it can take you straight there. Otherwise, go to TaylorMadeGolf.com. Look out for these. They're gonna be unbelievable. Blown away by it. Great job, all the boys over the road.